Screen burn. Once the bane of CRTs everywhere, it could easily mean game over for your favourite CRT gaming monitor if you didn't take care and do something about it. And then, God forbid, it might end up somewhere like this, in the graveyard for CRTs. But fear not, there was a solution. There is a solution. That brings us to the subject of today's video, and it's the dubiously interesting subject of screensavers. More specifically, screensavers made by Berkeley Systems. You may well recognise these flying toasters as part of their famous After Dark suite, and it's precisely that we're going to be looking at in this video. Berkeley Systems started making accessibility software for the Mac in the 80s, so they were creating stuff to allow people with handicaps to get on their PCs and do stuff. They started making screensavers as well. There was a bit of a gap in the market there because screensavers at the time were all pretty basic single screen affairs and they weren't very exciting. So they started coming up with screensavers like this crazy flying toasters thing going on here, and it wasn't long before that business swamped their accessibility business. So it ended up in a big office that was originally designed to make sort of accessibility software for the Mac, being sort of mostly filled with people making screensavers and a small corner of people still beavering away at helping people with disabilities to use their computers. After Dark for the Mac was a raging success, and people started suggesting they should do a PC version. However, these people were blasphemous. They loathed the PC. They thought it was a rubbish system and didn't want to have anything to do with it. The PC version, when it finally came out, was pretty badly thought of. It was full of bugs. Apparently a lot of IT departments wouldn't even let people run it on their systems. So as time went by, they branched out. They got a load of licenses to do some more specialist versions of screensavers. So you had Star Trek stuff, Simpsons stuff, Marvel stuff, all very cool. And yeah, things were looking rosy. But then around 1995, a lot of this sort of proprietary intellectual property was being farmed out to other companies. People were starting to make their own screensavers in-house and stuff like that. And the sort of market for this kind of thing started to dry up. So business wasn't looking great for Berkeley. At this point, Berkeley were approached by a game developer called Jellyvision. Jellyvision had a concept for a game. They needed some investment and help to get it off the ground. So Berkeley went on board with them to produce a game called You Don't Know Jack. Not a game I'm familiar with. It's a kind of a skit on a TV game show, and supposedly it did really well, even though I've never heard of it. On the Mac, I think, primarily, but I think it also came out on the PC as well. So despite the fact that business still wasn't looking good for Berkeley, they had a bit of a breather now, some space in which to think about what to do. But luckily for them, it also caught the attention of some of the bigger games publishers, most notably Sierra. Sierra were impressed. Sierra bought out Berkeley and saved them from going broke, essentially. Then Sierra used the intellectual property from the screensaver packs to produce all sorts of crazy spin-offs. So there was their own games. They made games based on the characters within the screensavers. They made cartoons for children and crazy spin-offs to do with the characters and the screensavers for those. They also produced clothing. Can you believe it or not? You could buy clothing such as this rather lovely flying toasters themed tie. It would look great with any businessman's suit. So enough waffle about the history of Berkeley. What are we going to look at in this video? We're going to look at this. So this is the first ever boxed screensaver I've ever owned. I had quite a few sort of demo discs and things back in the day, but yeah, this is the first full one, and it's After Dark. I remember seeing After Dark in all of the magazines back in the day and never really wondering what it was. So here we've got After Dark 4.0, and it's a later release. So this is after Sierra bought out Berkeley. They released it under their own Sierra home brand. I think this was a budget brand and all sort of educational home kind of software, you know, room designers, that kind of thing. So yeah, we're going to be taking a look at this. And while I've been making this video, I've actually come to realize just what an art form these screensavers became and how entertaining they are. I'm not surprised they were successful for a while. It's a bit of a shame that we don't need them anymore, since it wasn't long after this came out that everybody started moving on to LCDs. And the weapon of choice for running it on today is going to be this. It's my Fujitsu Lifebook Pentium 120 laptop. This does not have a CRT, so we're not really testing out the screensavers to save any tubes on this one, but it's going to be fun just to do a bit of screen grabbing off this because I haven't used it for a long time. I'm not going to make you watch it on this awful, badly lit LCD that this laptop has. We'll actually just be screen grabbing it straight off, and we'll be taking a look at all of the individual screensavers in turn a little bit later in the video. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and we'll get the software installed. There's a couple of games and things on here. We'll have a quick look at those, and then we'll have a look at these really quite delightful and artistic little screensavery things. So as I said earlier, there was a few extras on this disc. There's a few demos of various stuff. Some of it was actually asking to dial in. This the early days of internet gaming. A lot of these things didn't work because they were looking for a dial-up connection to dial into Sierra's website to pull stuff down. No idea what that was all about. But there were a few things we could look at. One of them was the After Dark games that I mentioned earlier, where Sierra made a load of games and mini games off the back of some of the characters in the screensavers. And yeah, we've got a nice little demo of After Dark games here, where it takes the characters out of the screensavers that we'll be taking a look at in a minute, and made a bunch of very entertaining video games from what I've read. One of the other things on here was there was a pinball game, like a horror themed pinball game based in like a Dracula's castle kind of place with all sorts of monsters and things. And yeah, this looks like fun. I will be spending some time messing about with this and playing it a little bit. I think it looks cool, and it was a nice little addition to find on the disc. So that's pretty much it for the talking part of this video. I usually talk for much longer than this. Some people probably hate that. Some people may like it if I'm lucky, but in this one, not much talking. Mostly it's going to be about the screensavers. Here's the menu. There's a whole list of them. I think it's about 25 altogether. There's some legacy stuff from the earlier packs, but we're going to just step through them one at a time. They all loop, and some of the loops are quite long, so I'm only going to show each one for maybe 20-30 seconds, and just so you can see and admire what little works of art they really are, and hopefully enjoy watching and remembering. So that's pretty much it for now. I hope you enjoyed watching this video if you made it this far, and I hope you enjoy watching the rest of it if you plan to, and I hope you'll join me for the next video. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later.
Commencing.
one giant leap for mankind.
guy. Pick up your toys.